The Liebherr R313 is the smallest excavator in the Liebherr range, and this model by NZG has been made in the colours of Eurovia, which is part of Vinci, the French construction company. The outer box has the Eurovia brand, but surprisingly doesn't mention what make of machine is modelled inside. The model itself is nicely protected in a couple of polystyrene formers, and it's wrapped with tissue as well, and also included with the model is a bag of spare parts. There's no assembly to do because the model is complete out of the box, but it's good that NZG include some spare parts like track links and mirrors. There are elastic bands to remove from the tracks, and you need to be a little bit careful there because if the tracks come off, they break into lots of different links. And you need to remove some masking tape from the removable pins which fit the bucket to the end of the stick. Looking underneath the model, the detail is fairly basic, with some fixing screws clearly visible. The tracks are metal and the track frames are pretty detailed, but without any moving rollers. The cab detailing is very nice, the inside has various control levers, and the windows are tinted with good looking seals, and there are metal handrails. At the rear the model looks especially good because it's got some very sharp small graphics, and the Liebherr name is represented in relief in the casting. Detailing on the top is also good with an air intake, exhaust and realistic looking mirrors. There are plenty of hydraulic lines modelled at the boom foot and they all have a realistic thickness. The hydraulic lines also continue onto the boom and stick, and the small graphics add to the authenticity. Overall the level of details are good, and here's a couple of Eurovia guys discussing the size of tools they'd like to have. Taking the R313 out onto the test surface, the tracks are really too stiff to roll on a smooth surface, and they didn't really fare any better on a rough surface either. Now they can be made to turn on the track frames, and you can do that quite easily by hand, but it really is quite a stiff mechanism, and in part that might be due to the paint finish on the tracks, which might clog them up just a little bit, and they do free up a little bit if you use them a lot. The stiffness continues into the rotating body, which does move and you can position it anywhere, but again it was quite stiff on the review model. At the front there's a little blade, and that moves up and down quite smoothly, so you can position that anywhere you like to show the model dozing or not. And at the digging end of things, the model is really engineered pretty well because you've got a full range of movement on the boom, stick and bucket. You can stretch it out quite a long way. The mechanism is quite stiff, so it will pose in any way that you want to display the model, which is always a good thing. You can bring the bucket right up close, and in fact you can go further than that because the model will pose well digging at depth, perhaps doing trenching or something like that, and in fact you can go even further, and if you want to dig underneath yourself if you're that way inclined. But this does all go to show that NZG have done a good job with the model engineering here, and it's possible to pose the digger really any way that you want. The other neat feature that the model has is that you can disconnect the bucket from the stick. There's a little silver pin that can be removed, and in fact there's a second one too, but you can leave that in if you like, and the bucket just hooks off the quick coupler, and you can keep the pin in the bucket for safekeeping. And if you like, you can get some chains and just hang those off at the various lifting points if you want to pretend that you've got a crane and not a digger. This model from NZG has been around for a few years, but it's well detailed and works quite well, and it certainly looks good in the Eurovia livery. Overall, it's an easy model to recommend.